and welcome back to the Wheel Talk podcast. My name is Abby Mickey, and I'm here with friends to talk about women's professional road cycling. We have a bunch of new transfers, some news on Fem van Empel, Ardèche, and this coming weekend, World Championships kicks off with the women's ITT. With me today, Georgie Howe.
Oh, I've got a time trial coming up. I'm very excited. I just had a look at the start list, had a look at the course. Oh, and it's in a new country as well. This is going to be fantastic. Can't wait to talk about it.
And Gracie Elvin.
Hello. And I can't wait to hear Georgie talk about all of that excitement for the time trial.
We can do our professional analysis, Gracie, you and me, with our time trial knowledge. All right, let's kick things off with some of the biggest transfers that happened over the last week. We had a few big name switching teams and some that I was actually pretty surprised by. Letizia Borghese is moving from EF Education Outlet to AG Insurance Sudal. I was surprised by this transfer because she was one of EF's top performers throughout the year, highlighted by her incredible podium finish at Paris-Roubaix Fem of Zwift. And I think she's quite the get for AG Insurance Sudal and quite the loss for EF, if I'm honest.
Yeah, for sure. Like the AG Insurance Sudal they're becoming like a massive powerhouse. I don't think I called that. That wasn't on my bingo card for 2025, if I'm going to be completely honest. All due respect to the team. But I don't know what's going on there in terms of like funding and incoming sponsors, etc. But my God, they're being so intentional with who they're signing, and it's a scary prospect for 2026.
Yeah, and I mean, I think with a couple of their new signings, they were really bolstering their classics teams because we've talked already, and I think I mentioned this already with some of their previous signings that, they are really strong in the climbing contingent of their team. They obviously have, Kim LaCourte, Ashley Moman-Pasio, Sarah Gigante. They've got some incredible climbers on the team, but they've really focused on their classics or their flat type team in the new signings that they've made this year, especially with Letizia Borghese.
I think it's like they've already got like some solid classics riders on the team, as you said. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they attack the coming year. I thought this year was going to be musical chairs with teams, but it seems like we've got a few shakeups. So the classics are going to be very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some. I think FDJ has actually picked up the most riders so far in the announcements, and there's still a lot to come. Because actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think the other rider that I'm thinking for AG hasn't been announced yet, so still some fun ones to come. EF Education Only will pick up Alice Towers from Canyon SRAM Zonda Crypto. They're an interesting one, EF, because I think this is their first new signing that they're announcing, and from what I've noticed from the transfers so far, is they're not keeping a lot of their riders that are in contract right now.
EF, no.
They're losing, Allison Jackson announced at Maryland that it was one of her last races for EF, or last race with EF, I think she said.
Yeah. She hasn't signed for a new team, announced for a new team yet, right?
No, she's not made any announcement about who she will be riding for, but obviously that's a really shocking loss for a team that believes so much of the social media aspect of cycling and the social presence of their riders.
Yeah.
To lose someone like Allison, who is so good at that whole side of the sport.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote that article released last week around AJ and like the charisma she brings to the sport, and like as an example of what sponsors should look for when they're looking to support cycling teams, and what actually team managers should look for as well, because sponsors in cycling bring the money. So it is disappointing to see EF not leaning on that and kind of going like, I can't pretend to know what goes on behind closed doors, but I would hope, that it's not the value that she brings to the sponsors and the brands. Like I'd assume that they would value that quite highly, so it must be something else going on.
Yeah, well, you can see on the men's side, the EF men's squad have shown that they value characters and different pathways. Lockie Morton is one of the best examples. Esteban Chavez as well, who does the full road calendar effectively. He brings so much charisma to that team, and there's a whole other host of riders.
Rigoberto Urán,
yeah,
they kept him for so long.
Yeah.
They pay people to win bike races, obviously, but they also are happy to include that charismatic element that's tougher to quantify. But I don't think that that's actually the case in the women's side of things, even though you think that it would be. And it looks like it has been in the past, particularly with someone like AJ on that squad. But from what I've heard, just quietly, a few places here and there, I feel like the management of the women's team doesn't seem to value that quite as much. They're trying to keep more of that mainstream thinking of results and, I don't know, more groupthink mentality, which is a shame because I think we look to that pink squad as, you know, where we find some of our cooler riders and bigger personalities. And yeah, just speaking to that piece you wrote, Georgie, like that's such a big element in women's sports that, you know, is a really important element as well that cycling really needs to make sure it doesn't miss.
100%. And like I that makes me a bit upset because I mean, I look at what Lockie Morton's done with his off-road calendar and I'm like, well, where is the women's equivalent on the EF side, on like the women's side in EF? And like it just seems like a natural progression to flow on through. And yeah, so if it is like a team management decision, then I think they are kind of missing out on another avenue in which they can kind of generate revenue, bring in new sponsors. They can still keep this is like having characters on your team who are prevalent in like the social media space doesn't mean that you have any less bike races. Like they're all still bike races at the end of the day. It's just elevating these voices to a point where they can actually be heard, those that want to be heard, you know?
And Alison's a strong rider. Like she's
100%.
one of their better riders anyway. She might have had a quieter year this year, but like she's still, you know, a strong talent and also more mature as well. So it adds that more guiding element to the team as well for the younger riders.
Yeah, I was going to say she still finished 5th at Paris-Roubaix Femme. She was 7th at Amstel Gold, which she wasn't even supposed to race in theory. Won the national championships, 2nd at Maryland recently. So she's still like, it's a smaller race, not World Tour or anything, and a smaller start list, but still, it's still a result's a result, you know? So she's been on the attack in like every race she's done. So she's still very visible for the team in terms of racing.
Yeah, I mean, look at like her performance at the Tour de France Femme. I think she was every chance she was in the break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm very fascinated to see what team is going to pick her up.
Yeah, definitely. There's a couple riders still yet to be announced whether they've re-signed for EF or not. Clara Amund, who won that Giro stage last year, Henrietta Christie, Veronica Ewers, Nina Kessler. So there's still quite a few riders out of contract this year with EF that they've haven't announced and do not know what their future is. Other transfers. I love how we go on these side quests where we are talking about transfers, but we end up talking about Georgie's amazing piece from last week.
It's a purely selfish plug. It's just I do it. You just haven't cottoned on yet.
No, I love it. It's great. Sofia Bertizzolo to FDJ Suez, another one of the riders picked up for FDJ. So far in the announcements, which again, there's still many to be made, but they have 4 of the announcements so far, and I think I didn't see a single one of them coming, including Bertizzolo from UAE Team ADQ.
You didn't see that transfer coming?
No, I didn't see that transfer coming. I saw the Lauren Dixon transfer coming, to be fair, because I know that she was a personal request from one of the team's top members, but but I did not see Bertizzolo going to FDJ. Did you?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not surprised. I'm not particularly FDJ, but I'm not surprised she's looking for a refresh. She's had a few years of like lackluster results and changes as good as a holiday. So if she can move, why not? And why not move to the strongest team in the peloton, or like one of the most well-resourced teams?
Also looking to settle down after a tumultuous year, Sarah Van Dam, one of the Sarah Tizet riders who, because of Sarah Tizet folding, needed a new home. She will ride for Visma Lisa bike. Pretty great signing, I think, in my opinion. This is one of the ones that I've been hinting at.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, she's on my draft team, so go Van Dam.
And the last new signing, as we're recording on Monday, Yelena Erish will ride for Uno X Mobility from Movistar.
Yeah, that's I mean, actually, like, it's gonna be weird. I always like associate Erich with Movistar. Always. It's gonna be very strange to see her in a Norwegian team kit.
Yeah, I mean, she's been on the team since 2020. It's been years, many years since she's been on that team.
Exactly a quarter, half of a decade. It's a lot of years.
Thanks
Quick
for that,
math.
Georgie.
It is a lot of years.
Yeah, it's that Princeton education.
Moving on, in the news while we're talking about transfers, Fem van Empel announced over the weekend that she is done racing road. She is going to focus solely on cyclocross / off-road for the future. If you'll remember, she stepped away from road racing in March for her own mental health and well-being, and she said in a statement that the moment that she made that decision, it just immediately felt better, felt right. So she's still contracted with Visma Lease Bike through the end of 2027, but she's going to focus on cyclocross in the coming years and will not be on the road anymore.
Okay. The balance between disciplines, and you got like, yeah, mountain bike and off-road and gravel and off-road and cyclocross and off-road and road, sorry. I think individually those disciplines are just getting so hard. It's becoming really difficult to balance them. And if you've got someone as young as Fem, it's a huge load to take on. I actually applaud her for making this decision because like she's clearly had some time to digest and taken some time away from the sport to deal with her mental health. And I'm really happy that she's had the courage to put herself first in this regard. I mean, look, she's really young. This is a very brave decision. Like she had the opportunity to continue down the road path and do like what Pauline did. But yeah, I think she's made the right decision for herself, and I take my hat off to her. Literally wearing a hat so I can do that. Boop.
I would agree. Yeah, like even 10, 11 years ago when Pauline did that triple, like she pretty much cooked herself, and the level of the sport and sports was not what it is today. Marianne Vos has also cooked herself with trying to do it all. And these are two of the greatest athletes that we've seen in the modern generations of riders coming through. So, yeah, really good decision, brave decision, but I think the wise one. I'm not sure if she was getting good counsel on that one, but ultimately you have to pull the trigger on it and make that announcement. So, yeah, I think that good for her physical development, good for her mental health. I'm sure it was pretty rough having some criticism earlier this year. So I think if you want to have a long-term career, you got to find those ways to look after yourself. And I think balance is the wrong word. I think that as an elite athlete, there's actually no such thing as balance. You just have to find periods of being extreme and find periods of rest and recovery, and find things that make you feel good in between, whether that be studying or a bit of work here and there or nothing, and just having fun, hanging out with your friends. So like whatever that looks like for you, you could call that balance, but it's not really. But yeah, I think that, the level of all of those disciplines, all the off-road disciplines and the road, they're just so high now. And what's being demanded of these athletes physically and mentally, and of course the strain of the expectations around media and social media and all of that extra stuff that you're having to do. It's always been a full-time job, but it's definitely a full-time job now. So you've find ways to make it sustainable for you.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like we saw like with Puck as like an example this year, where she came off of the cyclocross season and had just an incredible start to the road season. Her spring campaign was like something just insane. She was in the top 10 of every single race that she did, with her worst result being San Remo up until stage 3 of the Tour de France Femme. And I think that people really thought I really thought that she was a contender for the podium at the Tour de France Femme of Zwift, based on how she rode the race last year. And you forget, like, when someone is so present, just how green she is to road cycling. The Tour de France last year was her first ever stage race, and she didn't perform, I think, as she expected or as the team expected in the Tour de France, and hasn't raced a road bike since. Instead went over to focus on mountain biking, and she was 6th at the World Championships cross country that she won last year. Obviously, like, mountain bike has a whole lot to do with courses and everything, and we don't talk much about mountain biking, although I loved the cyclocross. I love the cross country over the weekend. It was amazing. And also, I'm just a big fan of Jenny Risbet's. But I think for Puck, like, watching how her year has gone this year compared to last year, it's the first year off the bat when you're doing multiple disciplines. In a lot of ways is easier because things are fresh. You're kind of getting into it. Form is carrying over. But I think as you've had success in one or multiple disciplines and you're trying to do both of them or more than one going into a second season, the second season in a lot of ways can be a lot harder.
Yeah, it's a sophomore slump.
Yeah. I'm glad there's, like, in my mind, it made a ton of sense, but I was like, I don't think I'm explaining this well. So I'm glad there's a term for it.
Yeah. I had a sophomore slump. We all have sophomore slumps.
Who hasn't? Yeah. So we won't see Fem van Empel on the road in the near future. And I mean, she doesn't need to race road. She's one of the best cyclocross racers on the circuit, and happy that she will be continuing to rip up the dirt. And cyclocross season is coming. I'm sure Lauren is very excited about it. Not that there's anything wrong with cyclocross. This is when I turn my attention to ski racing. I only have so much that I can focus on at one time. Ski racing is my winter sport. Let's briefly chat Ardèche, because we did have bike racing happening last week, and there was a couple of talking points coming out of Ardèche. We're not going to talk about it deeply because, yeah, I think if we start diving into one non-World Tour race, I would feel obligated to talk about a bunch, and this is why we kind of pick and choose what races we talk about, just a peek behind the curtain, because there is so many that I think when there are valid talking points, we bring them up. But a lot of the times, like, for example, I didn't even put in the run sheet that Lorena Wiebes won for May this weekend, adding 10th sprint victory of the season, which is just freaking crazy. She's insane. Anyway, Ardèche. Lotte Kopecky won the first stage, so I think for everyone who was wondering how she's doing, she got a win before her road season came to an end on stage 3. She went down in a crash, and I think initially the team had thought that it wasn't going to be too bad, but after further examination, she's got a fracture in a vertebrae, so she's had back problems this year already after the Giro, and going into the Tour, and now with that, I think, yeah, she's already decided not to race the Worlds, and we talked about that in a previous episode, but she had planned to race the Track World Championships, and I don't know if that is on her calendar anymore, if it will just be like, call this whole season a wash and get ready for 2026 at this point.
Yeah, rough. I was kind of relieved for her that she'd already decided that she wasn't going to Worlds, because, yeah, that would be pretty awful to be trying to peak and then do this right before Worlds. But yeah, I don't wish this kind of crash on anyone, so definitely relief's not quite the right word. So yeah, really sorry for Kopecky. Not a nice way to end a tough year, but I hope that she's not doing any more racing for the rest of the year and she can just take the pressure completely off and rebuild, find the fun again. And I reckon we'll see some vintage Kopecky next classic season, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, like, far out. It's what a comedy of errors in a way. Like, it seems like when it rains it pours in this kind of in cycling. I can only hope that she's got the support around her when she recovers from this. And there's always another bike race, and I think she's well aware of that. It is just bike racing at the end of the day. There's so many other things to look after, including your health. So I'm glad that, similarly to Fem, I hope Kopecky can kind of, put herself first in this instance and take some time to recharge. She's got. Hope she gets the rope for it.
Stage 2 of the race was canceled due to the protests in France dealing with French politics. So not connected to any of the protests going on at the Vuelta a España, which, there's no, we don't have a women's Israel Premier Tech team anymore. But I think because of everything going on in the Vuelta, the race getting canceled due to protests, kind of the headline was an interesting one to read. When you dig into it, there was crazy protests across France on the Wednesday that this stage was supposed to happen. So I was pretty happy that they decided to cancel the stage for the safety of the riders and as a preemptive safety measure. Misha Bredewald won the third stage, in which Kopecky crashed, and won again in the fourth stage. She was leading the race at that point. Visma Lisa Bike went 1-2 on stage 5 with Marianne Bunel and Femke de Vries. And Monica Trinca-Colonel, she had just a string of really good results that led to one final win on the sixth stage. She went solo, took the win and the overall, which is a great win for Livalula Jaco, who we've been talking about all season as kind of being ever present, but without ever getting a major win. And they got their huge win at the Tour with Mavi Garcia. But for Monica Trinca-Colonel, I think she's had such an incredible season of just progressively getting better and better and following up on results she's had since the beginning of the season. So a win for her at a race like Ardèche and to take the overall as well is massive.
I mean, I think that team has really come to the fore a bit more this year, which is really good to see. And I know that there's if we talk about the business side of the team, there's some talks going on that we hope end positively, and so everyone will kind of continue to have that support. But it's I think culturally the team seems to be in a really good place. Everyone's around each other, talking to a lot of the riders. They're backing each other in, which is good. So someone goes up the road and they can kind of back them that they can finish off the job. I think joy is kind of what the main vibes is at the team at the moment. Gene Bates clearly has had a really good first year back on the team, so he's made his presence known, and there's been some other few organisational shake-ups within the team itself in terms of how they do things, how they run races from a management perspective, which I think has actually been really positive for the team as well, to have a bit more structure and ways of working. So I think it's not just the riders pedaling the bikes. I think Jaco have had a bit of a formative year in terms of everything else around the team as well. So it's good to see them hitting their straps.
And they need it going into the next couple of years.
They do. And winning begets winning. So I think they're going to be on a bit more of a roll now, but you can definitely see there's something good going on there. And it's good to hear a little bit more insight from you, Georgie, on that. But just from I'm very much an outsider now of that organization, even though I was there for such a long time. It's so different since I was there. Even now, just as an observer, I can see that magic's coming back. They seem to be clicking, or some of that team culture is coming back. And that's that extra ingredient that team had in spades for a long time and helped with so many wins. And you could see that was lost for a few years there, and they've brought it back from lots of different angles. So very cool to see.
The redemption arc. We love a redemption arc.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. I said we were going to keep the Ardèche brief, and that's because we have to preview the World Championships time trial. World Championships is almost upon us. Next week is a series of races. We've got a ton of races over the week from junior to U23, but the Worlds Week starts with the time trial on Sunday for the elite women and the elite men. Georgie, you want to break down the course for us?
Yeah, for sure. So the course is 31.2 kilometers in length, starting in the heart of Kilgally and finishing at the convention center. So it's kind of an out and back, but I'm not even going to try and compare the shape of this course because I can't compare it to anything. It's unique in that sense. But the riders will start in Kilgally. They'll head out, take an immediate left turn, and it's quite a technical run out of town. And then once they hit the main highway, it really is just head down Watson Arrow for a period of looking like 8 kilometers before they hit the the first climb of the day, which is the Côte de Nyaza, which is 2.5 Ks at almost 6%. So the riders, I would imagine would stay in aero position for this. It doesn't look like there's maybe one or two steep pinches on there that they'll get out of aero posi. But I think they'll stay in there. And then they hook a U-turn just before the 15 Ks to go mark. And then they're hit with a bit of a draggy climb. So this one's 4.1 Ks at 3.1%. Definitely staying in aero for that. But the last little bit kicks up a bit. And then it's really a downhill run until, look, I did not have this on my bingo card either for 2025, and that was cobbles in Rwanda, because heading into the last finish, like the last couple of kilometers, the riders will face a cobbled section before they hit the convention center, and that is also on a climb, which is 1.3 Ks at 6.3%. So it's going to hurt. I kind of liken it to, I hope it's not as bad as the Glasgow World Championships, where the only shot that the camera got of me was on that cobble climb at the end, and it wasn't very flattering.
Nothing like a slow-mo on the cobbles.
Oh, yeah. And it's like I had the no glasses on the helmet, pain face, saliva. It was beautiful.
I'm going to go back and look this up.
But yeah, it looks like a very technical, quite a technical start of the TT. And like that run in from the top of the second climb is all downhill. So the riders are going to be picking up a heap of speed heading into that cobbled section. I don't know what the surface is like in the wet. I'm told the roads in Rwanda are quite good. Like the surfaces. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of tires and pressures that the riders are running, particularly with a cobbled finish. I'm not sure what they'll choose for that. Given it's 1.3 Ks, that cobbled section, I'm not sure how much emphasis they'll put on it. But definitely, I think it's still going to be a pretty quick TT, like in, around 40 minutes, I think. So it's a bit of a ruler's TT. Like it's not an out and out climber's TT, but it's not a pure time trial either. So it's going to be interesting. And then if we look at the start list for Australia, you've got, I'll just do a quick run through because it's a time trial and there are 18 starting. So bear with me, dear listeners, as I run through this. Australia's got Brodie Chapman. Austria's got Anna Kiesenhofer. Belgium's got Marta Goossens. Benin's got Hermione. I'm so sorry. I cannot pronounce that last name. There's a lot of consonants in there. Ahuso. Yep, I'm going to go with that. France have got Juliette Labous and Cedrine Cabal. Germany's got Antonia Niedermeyer. Netherlands have got Anna van der Breggen and Demi Vollering. Norway's got Katrine Allerud and Sigrid Hogset. Poland's got Kasia Nibu-Doma. Uganda has got Namukasa Trintath. The US have got Ruth Edwards and Chloe Dygert. Slovenia's got Ushka Ziegart, and Switzerland's got Marlon Russa and Elena Hartmann. So a fairly meaty start list. And I mean, if I had to look at it, my money would be on Chapman. I mean, obviously Demi's, you can't really snuff at her, but the fact that Marlon's also fronting up is going to be really interesting as well. But like Dygert, you really can't go past Dygert either when you're considering potential winners for this race. And I don't think it's hilly enough for Dygert to really be bothered. I think the climbs aren't steep enough. So it's going to be a really interesting race. Keen to see what the cobbled section throws in, and if it's wet, I mean, we won't know. So we'll have to get some weather closer to the event. But yeah, exciting times.
Yeah, the first big climb that's like almost 3 kilometers long, with at 5% average, 91% maximum, that climb is going to make such a huge difference in the whole race. I feel like if you pace that improperly after the descent, when your legs go like a little bit stiff, after a hard effort, going into another climb like right after that, albeit more gradual, like that whole section is such an interesting time trial. Like I think it makes for a really good race.
Yeah, it's really interesting because like from a pacing plan perspective, I'm not quite sure what you do, because you do need to gas it up that first climb. I imagine it would probably be a positive split TT. So you pretty much go your highest wattage up until the 19 Ks mark. And then the last 11 Ks, you recover as much as you can, because you've got about about 9Ks before you hit the base of that cobble climb, so you can really recover quite nicely. Big gear spin the legs, but I think what that cobble climb is going to be whatever you have left. It's not. I don't think they're going to pace that. I think it's just going to be full send. But
no, the final 2.5K is just like full send.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing.
You can't do anything
at
there.
that point. Like you've either lost the race or won it.
Exactly. And like, so I think it'll be getting into your rhythm, heading out along the highway. But yeah, the most of your power is going to be spent on that first climb, as you say, Abby. But if you spend too much, you're not going to have enough for the next, because the next one's more gradual, but it's just going to really hurt if you pace that first climb poorly.
Yeah. The second climb is definitely a little bit more like TT specialist friendly, I feel like. Especially because it's kind of broken into sections. Like in time trials, I used to always like break it into different segments, and that second longer climb is like 4 different segments, but that first climb is just like one grind. So I think the whole thing, it has a lot of different elements, which I think makes for a good World Championship time trial, and definitely seems a bit safer than the time trial last year in Zurich as well.
Yeah, there's no
the descent on that one was.
Oh yeah, I remember getting the preview for that and just being like, "What the hell?" And we're on rim brakes. What the hell?
Yeah.
Liv have remedied that, and now they've got a fantastic disc brake TT bike. Product plug.
Hey, we all love Liv.
I know. We all love a fan of Liv.
I'm definitely looking forward to this time trial. I think like the course is interesting. The way they're going to pace it is interesting. All those intermediate time checks are going to be very well scrutinized. But, the start list as well is interesting, especially because it hasn't been a straightforward season for almost anybody. So I think that getting to this point in the year, of any year, is always difficult. Getting to Worlds in good shape is difficult. And some of these favourites have had, less than ideal runs this year. So I think that, it's going to be all to play for. And there's going to be a lot of riders thinking, I could win this, or at least get a medal. And I think that we might see a few surprises, which is pretty exciting.
I think 70% of this start list think that they can medal.
100%. Yeah, definitely. And there's only 3 spots. Like, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's not like it's not a huge start list. It's not like with a normal race.
No, absolutely not. It's like, 18 and probably I'd say like maybe 14 or 15 think they can podium.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like for someone like Brody going into this race, like it's such a huge opportunity for her to get a result on the world stage. And like Chloe, obviously she loves to add more hardware to her growing collection. But like for Reusser, this is really a redemption race. The last World Championship time trial that Reusser did was the Glasgow time trial, where she stepped off the bike mid race, when she went in as the hot favorite, and then won the time trial of the European Championships a couple weeks later. So this race will really be like a redemption for her, because she wasn't able to race her home Worlds in 2024, wasn't able to race the Olympics as well last year, and so this is just a really big opportunity for her to kind of not really prove herself, because I think she's done that already with her results this year, but kind of hammer home that she's back. And especially after the Tour de France Femme, where she didn't finish the first stage due to illness, and how the Giro ended and everything. Going into Worlds, I think she's going to be just formidable in both the road race and the time trial.
Definitely. I'm excited. Guess set my alarm.
All right. Well, we are going to keep it short today. We say that almost every week, but I think that's good. We've still got some really good racing coming up, obviously with the World Championships. But we still have a lot to talk about this season, including some more transfers coming down the pipeline, and just our overall thoughts. If you ever have any questions for us on the Wheel Talk podcast, feel free to send them through on the Discord, or you can shoot them through via like Instagram message or something like that. Reach out to us if you have questions. We love listener questions, and we'll definitely do another Q&A before the season is over. I think we can wrap this up with obsessions. Either of you have a good one?
It's the weather is turning and it's spring and there's blossoms everywhere in Canberra. It's beautiful. So I'm feeling very hopeful and positive with some nicer weather coming through, because it's been one of those winters where it's just dragged a bit. And I got to go to Europe for 3 weeks, so I shouldn't complain. But having a 1-year-old this winter has been a whole different thing. So being outside is really nice because he is walking, running, riding bikes, and loving that.
God, it's so fun when they start like doing stuff.
Yep, it's so good.
My obsession is running with my partner's dog. Actually, I feel like a pack animal running with him. It's fantastic. Like
what kind of dog?
Kelpie.
Oh, good running dog.
Yeah, good running dog. Except went for a run the other day and like he started out way too hard. It was like went for a 5K run and he was just like so excited and was just like straight out the gate, like way ahead of me. And then it was at the end, I was like looking behind me, being like, come on. You can do it. He's like 50 meters behind me. So yeah, we got to work on his stamina and his endurance, but you know, he's getting there. It's fun though.
My obsession, let me think. Well, I signed up for UTMB. 21K. Yep. 21K Andorra UTMB in my backyard. And it's like an insane amount of climbing. So it's going to be really hard, but it's nice to have that on the like kind of something to look forward to. So I've started training for that.
When is it?
How good is that?
June 14th. So I've got some time.
Awesome.
Yeah, that'll be really fun. I went out for a run yesterday with my daughter on her new pedal bike, which was not a ton of running, a lot of pushing up hills. But like I said, it's really fun when they can do stuff. It was a great time together. And then we stopped for croissants. So training so far going super well.
Yeah, it's like a real cyclist.
But it'll be fun.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to the Wheel Talk podcast. We will be back next week to talk about the time trial at the World Championships and preview the road race. The women's U23 time trial is on Monday, with a lot of the young riders that we've been seeing all season lining up for that as well. And we will talk about that on the next episode. But just a reminder that it's not the same time as the elite race. It is the next day, along with the junior race. So, with that, have a good week.
This episode was produced, edited, and mixed by Will Jones at Red Bricks Media.